There is only one you, and that is your superpower. You can't F that up. However, you can get stuck. That's why I created this space called Unstuck Yourself with Crystal Simmons. Unstuck Yourself is about figuring out what has you feeling frustrated, isolated, or depleted of energy so that you're able to unstuck yourself on your journey through life when you don't know how to move forward. Unstuck yourself in your career that no longer excites and challenges you. Unstuck yourself with negative thoughts that seem to be doing cartwheels in your head consistently. I don't have the answers. You do. You always have. I'm providing the time, space, and grace for you to reconnect to that knowing. I'm Crystal Simmons, coach, speaker, and facilitator, and I'm grateful you made it here. Let's begin to unstuck yourself. Hey peeps, just a disclaimer, as I was recording this episode, Shoes, my lovely dog, was chomping on a toy. So you'll hear him in the background, and when you hear that crunch, crunch, just know he was having a grand old time. Thanks. Hey peeps, it's Crystal, the Unstuck Coach, to coaches who are stuck not charging their worth and offering free sessions. By uncovering mindset blocks and shifting their energy, they can then charge and attract their worth with ease and excitement. And as life keeps lifing with ups and downs and all arounds, Crystal AAA's makes you aware to what is and isn't working to uncover your ability to create clarity to take action. Ease on down, ease on down, ease on to Crystal Town, where the dope is, the dope-tastical, the dopified peeps ever reside. And I'm gonna tell you why. I posted a duplicate episode last week. My bad, I'm human. But I had a listener text me, didn't even know she was subscribed to the podcast, but she told me she played the episode for last week and it sounded like an episode from the previous week. And she was right. So I quickly thanked her and I uploaded the correct episode that was current to that week. With the quickness, shout out to Anchor. That app is the truth. I was able to do it very quickly on my phone because I had like a mini panic attack while trying to do so. Like, no! Who else listened to it? Thank you. Shout out to you. You know who you are. I went on to ask her if she had any suggestions or topics or tips. And she said the best comment ever. And I'll read it. This is what she texted me back. I'm enjoying it. I wanted to drop you a message 2 weeks ago, but I had gotten sick and was all groggy voiced. LOL. I was a little late on the dope train though, and just picked it up a few weeks ago. Y'all, she said dope train. I want to put that on a damn t-shirt like right now. Dope train? So dope. Miss Lady, if you're listening, I want to thank you so much. And I have no doubt in your ability to figure things out as you use the podcast for inspiration, to take actionable steps, and to laugh along the way. The dope train is just a game changer. So I'm so thankful for you and you typing that. I don't know if you meant to do it. Hopefully the stars were aligned, but it made me laugh and just warm my heart. But there's wait. But wait, there's more. A couple of friends of my husband and I called me on Tuesday, which was 2/22/22. So February the 22nd, the 22nd year of the 2000s, however you want to say it. And simultaneously, they said on speakerphone, Tuesday. Y'all, I was speechless. My heart was so full and I kept telling them like I was cheesing really hard. I was like, I'm cheesing right now. I have no idea what to say. I'm just so thankful and just honored. Like I was stumbling on my words just like I am right now because they took the time to call me, to ask me what my toot-toots were for the day. Toot-Toot Tuesday was something I created on Instagram to just spread to other people, to let them know that no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're working on, we tend to take the time to only celebrate the really big, massive things like I landed this client that's bringing in thousands of dollars, or I just landed this awesome job that I've been waiting for like 5 years. And all of those are great, but who you became to get to that point you took way more than that one step. And Tuesday is there to inspire you. And just as a reminder to celebrate all of your wins, from waking up in the morning, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, or maybe eating lunch. Because I know some people skip their lunch because they're working so hard and so dedicated. But just a reminder to treat yourself, a reminder to pause. And it's my reminder as well. I went to therapy the other day. And now as I was updating her on my job quest, I was getting down on myself earlier this week of, I'm doing all of this, I'm putting it out there. And I just got to a point where I felt really frustrated. As I was updating my therapist, I think I shared half of the things that are coming about. And I was like, I need to celebrate myself in this moment, because I only share half of the things I'm doing and the things I'm creating. Again, I'm human. We're in this together. Thank y'all to our friends who called me Tuesday 2222. It meant so much to me. And again, it was at a time where I was feeling a little distant from friends and such. And I got that call that night. God's universe doesn't play about me. And knowing what I need, it's always provided at the right time. So I'm just so thankful. And they don't even know how much that small act just meant. And yeah. So let's get into this dope topic today. This is the second part to the Imposter Syndrome, Shame, Doubt, and Fear. Oh my series. If you are new here and didn't catch the first part from last week, do yourself a favor, check that out first and then come back. It is a great mind F. The reason why Imposter Syndrome is a part of the clever and the witty title that I created, Shame, Doubt, and Fear, oh my series, is because these are thoughts and emotions that can come into play when we address some of these topics, like imposter syndrome, or maybe different emotions come to mind. And it's not shame, doubt, or fear. But our goal for this podcast is to raise our awareness in everything we do or don't do, to raise the awareness in everything we feel or don't feel, and to raise our awareness into everything we think or don't think. Because with raised awareness or consciousness or knowing, we're able to be more powerful. We can reduce our stress. We can create more solution-based outcomes for our life. And not just in our job, but relationships with our family, loved ones, children. But then you can also begin to trust yourself more and trust your intuitions and your actions. And that part right there is the real piece. People. That is what people are looking for. When we say we want more money, that's another topic, which we did have that topic. But the money is what we want to bring us peace. When you can find peace by just being you and being able to trust your thoughts more and trust your creative ideas that kind of pop up because you're so locked in, it's powerful. I mentioned last week there was a second article. So the first article was titled Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome, which I found by doing a little research before I decided to record the podcast episode regarding imposter syndrome. And when I read the article, I was taken aback because I've never really identified myself as having imposter syndrome. I could acknowledge that there were times where I would second guess myself or kind of ponder, well, maybe this is a different way of looking at this situation. And this could be at work, but it also could be meeting new people and people meeting you in one setting, but then you meet them in another setting and you're like, ooh, are they going to believe me? Am I acting like an imposter? Case in point, me leaving or no longer being a chief technologist at the hospital. That role put me out there as a leader, which I did identify as. But when I left, I still felt like I was a leader. But some people may feel as though because you don't have the title and you move into another realm, like I was doing a product-based business. I was growing a team. I was leading a team. It just looked completely different. But there may be people out there who are like, well, that was me at that old job, because I had that old title. But if I'm not at that old job or don't have that title, can I still bring those characteristics along with me? Yeah. Because it's based on a character from a person, which you are. And I always say, no one's going to come up to you, tap you on your pretty little shoulder and say, hey, guess what? You have been speaking publicly. You have not been getting paid. You are now a speaker. Or no one's going to tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, you have been speaking publicly and you have been getting paid. You are a speaker. I have found that you have to do that for yourself. If you are venturing into a new job description or a new job position or a new company, yet you're bringing your old skills that you learned and utilized and was successful with, also learn how to shift and navigate different companies or working groups. You don't just delete all that information and skills and knowledge and experiences you obtained 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. You bring that ish with you. However, when you get there, don't forget who the F you are. And that is why when I read this article about stop telling women they have imposter syndrome, it resonated with me because it starts with us first and knowing how dope we are. Yes, we're going to enter these circles that might have us second guessing certain things. That is completely normal. But to grab a hold of that title and identify it and use it and wear it as a badge of honor and put that label on every single day. No. And the second part of this podcast is so we can address the workplace, because it's not an individual's responsibility while they're at work to hold on to that title and follow through with the actions of how do I get rid of this imposter syndrome? How do I just eliminate it completely? One, you could start by recognizing that having those doubts, having those fears, second guessing yourself is normal, but to recognize that the onus is not on you. The second article by the lovely ladies, Rashika Tolson and Jodi Ann Burry, is titled In Imposter Syndrome in Your Workplace. And we're going to go through just a couple of the suggestions that they offer in the article, and I'll link the full article in the show description for your reading pleasure. Okay, so it begins like this. In February 2021, we offered one simple idea. Stop telling women they have imposter syndrome. Since then, fixing the places where women work instead of fixing women at work has become a rallying cry for women of all races across the world. More than the pushback against the imposter syndrome continues, the push toward sustainable, systemic solutions to ensure work is a place where our most underrepresented employees can belong and thrive. The first article went viral, and they have been asked over and over again, if we're not supposed to diagnose women with imposter syndrome, then what? How can workplace leaders step up to create an environment where imposter syndrome doesn't exist? And they lay out so beautifully how managers can make it happen. Again, I'm not going to go through all of it, but I want to dive into a couple of the highlighted sections. And the first section they speak about is pivot the language employees use to describe themselves. I love this part because it's basically what I just started with. It puts the responsibility on the manager of listening intently and having honest conversations about what it takes to really win in that company's culture. Also, share your own experiences of imposter syndrome and highlight the conditions that triggered or activated that response. As supervisors, as managers, as leaders, it is, or it can be, a very complex job. But I have found, even when I was an employee and I was a supervisor, that showing my vulnerability, coming in not assuming to know everything, because guess what? I'm not a robot, allowed me to have peace. I was more aware of everything is not on me, because it can't be. I can't be the answer to all my employees' problems. But what I can be is truthful and authentic to myself. When I first started as a chief technologist at the hospital, I remember one of my employees approaching me, literally just started. I think I was still unpacking the things I had brought into the office. She asked me about a system question, a system I had not even used or looked at. And I looked at her and I said, well, I think this is what I said. I was just more, what is your question? So I just started. So you probably know more than I do. But what we could do together is find a solution. Did you reach out to the help desk? They saw me as a supervisor, and for whatever their reasonings may be, I don't know. But I knew my truth. I just started. I don't have an answer for you. But I do know that the help desk will have an answer. Half of that I felt good for saying that, but the other half was like, girl, you know I don't know that. Like, why would I know that? I just started. So as supervisors, going into a situation and recognizing you don't have all the answers, but you damn well better be willing to collaborate with others, to recognize you wouldn't be there without your employees, all of their varying skills, their ideas, and not just assuming because you're the boss, you know better. You don't. But that is a great place to start. Why put so much on yourself to hold? No one asked you to hold the world. No one asked you to put that on your shoulders. Release it. And if someone does ask you, that gives you more awareness of, is this the place that I should be expected to hold the world on my shoulders? Let me ponder that for a moment. I appreciate them identifying that. Pivot the language employees use to describe themselves, making sure that as supervisors, you are meeting your employees where they are, recognizing that they may have some hesitations with new projects, but sharing a story where you had hesitations on a new project, and how being connected and not feeling like you have to bring this authority, you have to be better than, it just creates that divide. So why not bring that connection? And it also went into say, while supporting your team members individually is important, take a both and approach to meeting their unique needs while also making the organizational shifts required to address imposter syndrome at its true source. It's easier to set up a professional development program, but make sure you put money into training or to even pay for a coach or a mentor. Y'all know I love the part about getting a coach or a mentor, and it's so valuable. So those who are thinking about it, considering it, if you are a supervisor, many companies offer a stipend. They will pay a portion, if not all, for professional development and obtaining a coach. So think about that. Contact your HR department or possibly speak to your supervisor about it. But more and more companies actually have that available. And guess what? I am a coach. So there you go. 2 scones, 1 mouth. Instead of saying 2 birds, 1 scone. 1 stone. Oh my gosh. All right. So the next part is be honest about the impact of bias. We must be honest about our professional landscape as it stands today. There are multiple models of leadership and confidence for men, but not many for women of color. There are a variety of men that you will see them in a suit. You will see them in jeans and a hoodie. So there are varying examples of what leadership looks like in a man's role. This means that we give far more latitude to a number of ways men show up and appear in the workplace. Leaders with underrepresented identities find themselves walking the tightrope bias and approach their self-expression and leadership styles with strategic intention. This one right here. We can go up and down the list. Even when we go down to clothes, where some people may say, as a female, you should wear a skirt or a dress. And when I think of that, I'm like, F you, I don't want to wear that. I'm more comfortable in pants. Some women are way more comfortable in a skirt. Yet that doesn't define who's more professional. Another point, hairstyles. How many different hairstyles are there? Not even for just women of color, but just women, period. And if our hair is in a certain way, we are deemed less professional. I started my chief tech job. I was scared to wear braids because so many people beforehand had told me, oh, that's not really professional. I don't know if you should wear braids. Or women straighten their hair, women of color, straighten their hair for interviews, for the job position. I'm thankful that my whole being really transformed in that position. I think 6 months in, I decided I would get locks. It was the best decision I have ever done in my life, especially during that role. It was the best decision for me to choose that, knowing years ago, Shoot, just a couple of months prior, I didn't want to wear braids because I thought it wasn't professional enough. Did wear braids to the interview though, which I think started with me being like, yo, this is who I am. I'm not changing this. Like money, time, no. I halfway don't even know if I'm going to get this job, but I'm going to take the interview anyways to see what happens. And that's a little gem right there. We try so hard to please people that we don't even know if we want to really truly work with. We don't know the culture of the place. We don't know the demands of the job. It would be what I would assume going on a blind date would be. You never met this person. You don't even know if you're going to like them. You don't even know if they're funny. You don't even know if they're going to pay for dinner. You don't even know if their breath stinks. Like, but you're like, I got to get my hair done. I got to have like a new outfit on. I got to shave my legs. I got to get waxed. You're doing all of this prep and the other person didn't even earn a quarter of what you're trying to put out there. Meaning, are these actions that you take on a day-to-day basis, meaning you do them for yourself? Some people might get massages, might get a regular massage. They might get their eyebrows done. They might keep that up regularly. And then if they have the date, like, okay, I might just throw on something. But when we go to all of this, I'm giving you everything. And you don't even know what you will get in return. That's a mind F. But the perfect thing about that is you listening to this point, I bet you're thinking, I bet it's piquing your interest. I bet it's raising your awareness of, why do I do that? And y'all know we're not here to beat up ourselves. We're here to just gain more clarity. Recognizing where those trends come from, recognize if that's a habit that you are making that conscious choice of. When I get my hair done, when I get my nails done, when I go to find a new outfit, it makes me feel more peaceful. It makes me feel more at ease versus I gotta do this so they like me to hire me. How well has that helped you? And how does it feel to consider you doing the things that put you more at peace, more yourself? Make it easy. Make it easy for yourself. Why make it hard? So when we talk about the impact of bias and how many people of color, especially women, were not represented in the work culture or in the workplace, but also not having the conversations of like the dope, honest conversations that adds to our connection because we don't look alike or sound alike. You got to do something. So this is for the managers and the leaders in the workplace. This is how you can help diversifying your leadership and not by just one person. You got 10 Timmys over here and you got one dope Crystal over here. How's that supposed to work? Can't be just a token. All right. As I keep flipping through, I think the part that I want to highlight the most is that workplaces, they have to reduce biases against women of color at work. According to the American Express 2019 State of Women-Owned Business Report, women of color make up 89% of the net new women-owned businesses per day, despite only comprising 39% of the total female U.S. population. Say word. Despite wide disparities in women of color's access to capital for these businesses, many find that they would rather take the risk to escape from toxic and biased workplace cultures. I am of that percentage that I said peace out. It was so toxic. Workplaces, they have to step up. And it goes on to say reducing bias against women at work requires action at all levels. It can't be just one person, the employee, learning how it might look and how they could maneuver. No, it has to come from that employee's manager, that employee's manager's manager, and that employee's manager's manager's manager, all levels. Again, we're human. We can't have the weight of the world on just our one single shoulder. So this is how managers can show up. Managers can help their employees overcome feelings of self-doubt by reinforcing their own belief in their abilities and chances of success using phrases like, you might want to write this down. Managers, have you ever said this? And if you haven't, you definitely need to put this in your arsenal of championing for your employee that you hired or your supervisor hired. But saying phrases like, I know you can lead this big project. I've seen you succeed before and I believe in you. And they go on to explain that it also helped to expressly be told that they would be supported by their managers. Most of all, managers best supported women by genuinely listening to their experiences of gender and or racial bias and expressing the view that it was the organization's responsibility to fix. So again, listening, but also recognizing how the organization can help to solve that instead of it being put back onto the employee. Like, you just need to look at it differently. No. Let me tell you about a time where that did not happen and how it did affect my relationship with my past boss. I had an employee say I was militant. That right there is just look up the word. Anywho, I had an employee say I was militant, reminding her that she cannot work in the hospital without her CPR. Anyone who's a medical professional, that is like 101 knowledge. And this person had been in the medical field over 10 years. She goes on to say, I'm so drill sergeant-y. I'm so you have to be on time. You're so militant. I'm like, what? And my boss, instead of her saying, hey, what is up with that? She goes to say, well, you can't be kind of black or white, ma'am. Thankfully, there's this article that you can read, and it goes to say managers can also help change how other people perceive their team members. This is a perfect example. If a colleague warms of your team members' contrarian approach in meetings, you can easily assert the value of their social style by saying something like, contrarian? I would not put it that way. But I will say how much I really enjoy having her on my team. I can always count on her to think deeper about our work and offer new insights and perspectives. How easy can that be? Like, how did y'all feel when I read that? How would you feel if your boss said that and genuinely meant it? Y'all. I am just so thankful for this article. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to give a little overview of what we covered, but also encourage you, if you're a supervisor, and maybe share with a friend. The article will be linked in the show notes. That is titled Imposter Syndrome in Your Workplace. You can Google it, but it's under Harvard Business Review. So find that, share it with others. And we have gone over just 3 of the topics that they highlighted. The first one was pivot the language employees use to describe themselves. So allowing your employee to recognize you're not at fault. As an organization, we're in this together, and then determining ways to create solutions. And the second one that I dove into was be honest about the impact of bias. And then the last one that I wrapped up with was reduce biases against women of color at work. And there's so many more to follow through, but I didn't want to take up too much more of your time. I wanted to share this part because this was like the mic drop. Set up accountability mechanisms for change. When women of color don't see leaders who look like them, they often assume there's no place in the executive ranks for them, or that the reward of getting there isn't worth the cost of their health, self-worth, and well-being. So keep that in mind when you have an employee who would be great for that new role, but decides to decline and say, no, thank you. And you're puzzled and you're confused. That might be a reason. However, don't assume. Have a real conversation and listen and share your vulnerable stories with what they're stating. And it's going to take more than one conversation. That's how you build a relationship. It's no different than a friendship. It's no different than a romantic relationship. The work relationship takes work, but you have to be willing to listen and understand you might not know everything that they're talking about. You may not be able to conceptualize what it is they're saying, but trust that they're not lying and that is their truth. So to end this lovely conversation, which I hope y'all enjoyed, organizational change becomes sustainable and effective when managers at all levels are held accountable to those changes. Without accountability mechanisms in place, the reward change. There's very little motivation, says Dr. Thomas. When leaders take responsibility for tackling the imposter syndrome issue by creating more inclusive environments, not trying to fix the individual women, everyone stands to benefit. And workplace cultures that foster imposter syndrome risk loses key talent. Let's stop calling natural human tendencies of self-doubt, hesitation, and lack of confidence imposter syndrome. If you want women to lend their full talents and expertise, question the culture at work, not our confidence at work. Instead, recognize and celebrate a variety of different leadership styles and create work cultures where all are welcome and thrive. Hey peeps, again, I'm so grateful and thankful that you keep pressing play. You keep sharing your aha moments with your friends and family. And I just appreciate us sharing the space together every Wednesday, or for some of you later in the week. But no worries, because you created your own listening experience for your lifestyle and your schedule. So keep it up. If you find yourself feeling stuck, not thinking of the question I posed, but you know you're ready to have those questions asked to you on a routine basis, then hit me up. This is what I enjoy doing, and I'm an expert at doing so. You don't have to be the creator of clarity. That is my role, and I do it really well. You don't have to write all of those gems on sticky notes all over your house and trying to memorize them all and utilize them all in every human moment. You can put these tools into practice daily by partnering with me as your coach. Click the link to schedule your own 30-minute clarity call. And if you don't find a time that works for your schedule, send me a message stating that you can't find a time and we can find a time that works for you. I have spoken to peeps in Hawaii, Canada, Texas, California, and we made it work every single time. The unstuck questions and gems that were dropped are as follows. Number 1, if you are venturing into a new job description or a new position or career, the most important thing to remember is who the F you are and all that you have accomplished beforehand. All of those past skills you've learned, all those past experiences, they made you a dope person. Number 2, as a supervisor or manager, you don't have all the answers, but be willing to collaborate with others to create solutions. Number 3, why put so much pressure on yourself? No one asks you to hold the whole world on your shoulders. And if someone does ask you to do so, that gives you the chance to ask yourself, if this is where I want to be, expected to hold the problems and concerns of all my employees on my shoulders? Number 4, we try so hard to please people, we don't even know if we really want to work with them. How does that work? Number 5, make it easy for yourself. Why make it hard? Number 6, let's stop calling natural human tendencies of self-doubt, hesitation, and lack of confidence imposter syndrome. Peeps, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, rate, leave a review of this podcast to boost and highlight the work we are putting in together to raise the energy of others, build a safe space to grow, and honor our voices and stories through it all. Get on that dope train. Be dope-tastical. Sending you love and light through this mic as you write your unstuck questions and gems to turn your action into wins. Until then, stay unstuck. Bye.